Welcome to the Breathing Podcast, episode number 2. We got a great podcast episode for you today. So for you at home, get ready to do some breathing techniques. We've got some Zen breathing techniques and also some yoga breathing techniques and ones that you'll be able to apply whether you're a beginner or an advanced student. So get ready to do some practice. Let's get going. You gotta exhale to inhale. Make your breath work like a wind, girl. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another version of the Breathing Podcast, episode 2. I'm Tim Kelly, your host, creator of Zen Hailing, and I'm going to get right into it. What I was just doing right there is a Zen breathing technique called bamboo exhales. So it's a very powerful breathing technique. A lot of times when we're under stress, we're unconsciously doing this anyway with sighs, things that are automatic for the body, stress reliefs for the body. So in this podcast, we're going to go over bamboo exhales, which is a Zen breathing technique. We're also going to go over some other yoga breathing techniques, Satali pranayama, some different variations on how to use your breath to cool down. Let's see what else we have online. I'm going to teach some Ujjayi breath, the ocean sounding breath, the breath of the warrior, some 4-7-8 breath where you're inhaling for 4, pausing for 7, exhaling for 8. It's a good stress reliever as well. Great release of stress and anxiety, just like the bamboo exhales. So for you at home, find a good spot, follow along, and let's get started. All right, so like I started here, I was doing bamboo exhales, which is a Zen breathing technique, which really helps to release internal pressure. And that internal pressure is that stress and anxiety that you feel. And one of the key nuances of this breathing technique is the subtle energy that you bring into your midline, your Tanden, your Hara, your yoga bandhas. It's all kind of the same thing. It's your abdominal region. So you're bringing slight tension in as you're breathing. And you're doing that naturally as you're, if you put your hand on your belly and you can feel your abdominals have to tense up. So as you're doing that, again, what we talked about in the last podcast, it throws that switch. So, your mind, your brain, and everything else is basically on autopilot like a computer, and it's reliant on the respiratory muscles and other areas in order to create that connection. So when we do that, when we fire the abdominal region, helps to perform and build that oscillatory circuit with the brain. And again, we talked about how when we step out in the freezing cold, we bear down and do that. When we're in sorrow or experiencing several emotions, we're doing that unconsciously. And then unconsciously, a lot of times that's firing our adrenals and keeping us in that yang or yin mode that I talk about, where that auto mode where you got your game face on. So that's a lot of how your body gets hijacked with the stresses of life and throw the rhythm of your breathing off, and then that throws everything else off, even your cognitive ability to, you think your way out of problems or just even do normal everyday functions. So with the bamboo exhales, the technique, it's very simple. You're just doing a normal inhale, so you can do that normally through your nose, or I'm doing the Ujjayi breath, a normal inhale, and then you're putting your teeth together or pursing your lips, and you're letting your breath milk out, almost with a s or a s. So, and you can do a combination of both of them, but you're really trying to prolong the duration of the exhale. So I'll demonstrate another one for you right now. Taking an inhale. So you can see that prolonged exhale, it really makes room to take a deep inhale on the back end of that. So what you're doing is you're clearing that CO2 from the body, you're balancing those pH levels of the blood, you're allowing your body's intuitive abilities just to kind of take hold of and take control. And again, just by oxygenating like that. So, being able to take a nice deep inhale, this could be your warm up. So one of the techniques that I use with me and my clients is a little bit of 30 deep breaths to charge your body with oxygen, just like Wim Hof. So, you're doing that to stabilize, to start warming up the body from the inside out. So you do 30 deep breaths. It helps to invigorate the body, oxygenate the body, and you're doing the same thing. So when I do 30 deep breaths, I usually do the Ujjayi breath on the inhale, and I'll do bamboo exhales, or I'll just do the Ujjayi breath. So I'll demonstrate 2 breaths of Ujjayi and 2 breaths of doing the Ujjayi on the inhale and a bamboo exhale. So the first one's the Ujjayi. So that's the Ujjayi breath, the ocean sounding breath, where I'm closing the epiglottis, swirling the breath, elongating the inhale and the exhale. So for there, I'm really super oxygenating, and I'm paying attention to the balance of exhaling on the back end. So I love the Ujjayi breath. It's my go-to. Now I'll demonstrate the Ujjayi on the inhale and a bamboo exhale. So it'll be... little push out at the end there. I'm pausing. Pause on the inhale. Let that oxygen take its effect. Bamboo exhale. So for you at home, continue to do that. Your best version of a big inhale and an exhale. I'll continue to drop some knowledge here, maybe some little micro movements of this breath. So follow along if you want, but now you're doing 30 deep breaths to charge your body. So whether you're doing a music performance and you're ready to do some singing, or if you're out in the field and you're doing some physical work and you're a construction worker, or if you use your brain and you're trying to really make sure you got that cognitive abilities going, firing on all cylinders, it's important to warm the body up from the inside out. So one other version you could do on the bamboo inhale or exhale is intermittent. So we taught Voloma breathing, which is basically intermittent inhales, one breath, and then you're using the pause. So it's a variation of how we can use the pause and intermittent inhales to really, do a variation of our inhale oxygenation. So we could do that on the bamboo inhales and exhales. So that's more on the inhale. It would be the exhale. So you see, I used intermittent pauses on the inhale and on the exhale. So no matter whether I'm doing the Ujjayi breath or bamboo exhales, now it's a little trickier to do that intermittent on the inhale if you're doing some sort of mouth breathing. So when I was doing that bamboo inhales, it's a little trickier. I'm taking it in a little too fast for what I like to take it in. I like to take it in usually a little bit slower and a little more where it's not a shock to my body. It's a little more pleasing to my mind and body. So anyway, just a little micro movements, what we'll call of the breath in conjunction. And again, this is all just to wake up. If you're ready to start a breathwork practice, you're ready to work out, hit the gym, whatever. I'll drop this story. So John Jones, UFC light heavyweight champion. Everybody calls him the GOAT. He's awesome. But he talked about one of his fights where he was supposed to put, I think it was OSP, and he was supposed to put him down like first round. And it took him like second round. And everybody was like, John Jones was rusty. Look at the layoff. And he said, I really didn't warm up. And then when they asked, I didn't warm up properly. So when they asked him and really pushed him on it, he said, well, no, I physically warmed up. I did all my physical warm up, but I usually do breath work ahead of time, and he didn't really do the breath work like he normally does. So what happened was he got gassed out in the first round a little bit faster than he normally would, and it took him the second round to actually put the guy away. And that's that delay of the onset of lactic acid when we talk about balancing the pH levels of the blood. So if you're a mountain climber or you're a fighter and, that lactic acid, that arms are heavy, that, I'm gassed. Well, you can delay that onset if your pH levels are more balanced. And that's that pH levels are basically your levels of oxygen and CO2 in your blood, which translates into acidosis or inflammation or conditions like gout and just overall inflammation type of diseases. So anyway, the breath work is all going to affect that. And again, this is all stuff that you might not be doing. You might not be doing as much in your life, but maybe what you want to do is increase your self-awareness around your own breathing. So that way, it's going to affect not just your physical, not just the way you feel, but it's going to affect your mental and your attitude. And like I always talk about, if you can affect your breathing, you can affect every waking moment of your life. So the gym can't do that. Taking a class can't do that. But, you really going deep and building that inner self-awareness and building that breathwork practice. Remember, this is something like if you played sports and then all of a sudden now you're not the athlete, so you're like, what the hell, I'm blowing everything off. Your breathing is with you forever. And your respiratory function is also responsible for eliminating 70% of your body waste. So when you're trying to lose weight, or everybody's like, I'm hitting the gym, I'm dieting, I'm doing the right stuff, but I don't seem to be doing, it's not taking effect. It's because a lot of times you're breathing around it. So you're breathing up too high. Somebody says, take a deep breath. It's up here. No, that's not a deep breath. A deep breath is down here in your abdominal region first, in your belly, like this. Then you start bringing it up. So you're really distending your belly out first and filling up the lower portion of your thoracic cavity. And, then you're using the complete breath, or what yogis call the Durga breath or complete breath. And a lot of the complete breath, that starts with the belly breathing. So whether you want to charge your body and do the 30 inhales with just normal belly breathing, where you're breathing into your hands like we talked about last time, or with the Durga breath where you're breathing into your hands, but again, you're using all three parts. So you're breathing into your belly first, then bringing it up into your chest. So again, when you're up in your chest, you're in fight or flight. You're in stress mode. That's why a lot of times, it affects other pieces of us, because it's hijacking our physical body as well as our mental body. The emotional excitement hijacks your breathing rate, making it irregular. So if you can use the breathing techniques to check emotional excitement when it happens in the moment, then, maybe that's where you're using some of these techniques in your arsenal of tricks. Bam, stress is coming on. Whoo, I'm pulling the Ujjayi breath, or I'm bamboo exhaling, or I'm chanting Om, or I'm doing a Zen shout, or Ha, or one of those other techniques. So anyway, let's keep on going here. We just talked about different charging the body in the beginning, 30 deep breaths, however you have to get it in. But make sure you're not doing it. The thing that is different from Wim Hof, at least for way that I want to do it, and that, yogis safely teaches, we really stay away from any type of hyperventilate. So, in some of his techniques, I know he's modified it, but some of that was, hey, taking in however you need to, charge the body with the oxygen. And that does that because it's actually, and it's stabilizing you, but in somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience in breath work or in breathing or doing that, a lot of times you could experience in that hyperventilation, taking in too much at one time and then getting lightheaded or passing out. And that's where if you were scuba diving or doing something dangerous, it can become dangerous. You pass out, you fall down. It's not good. So again, all this stuff should be done safely, under control, never labored, and use your best abilities when you're doing the breath work and different emotions start coming up or different thoughts in your head, whether you feel like they're connected or not. Acknowledge them, because a lot of times doing the breath work, it reveals and disturbs the unconscious body. So that's the emotions we haven't cleared. That's the physical trauma that, hey, we thought we did, or, man, I've been under anesthesia about 18 times and, I never thought it bothered me at all. But supposedly that's all unconscious trauma that your body holds on to, whether you think it's hurting you or not, whether you think it's affecting you in the present moment or not. So a lot of these are preventative maintenance exercises. They're almost like scrubbing your body. If you do sound, you're trying to do different sound. Hey, if you're doing it as preventative, it's like scrubbing the body. And if I was doing body work on somebody and, trying to activate their meridians and their energy points so that their body's own intuitive healing and senses can then, take effect. So I'm really just, when I'm doing that, I'm acting as a catalyst. And a lot of these exercises are going to do the same for you at home. So let's continue on here with some other breathing exercises. We talked about the Durga breath, the complete breath, and then we talked about belly breathing. So any yoga class that you go to, normally that's the breathing techniques that they'll use. We talked about bamboo exhales and also Viloma breathing, that intermittent tss, tss, tss. So variations of how you can do that. And I can't overestimate enough how great the bamboo exhale breathing technique is. So if you start doing it, you'll find that you'll just start maybe walking around and like doing it, and your body starts to do it unconsciously because you're practicing a little bit. So anyway, and it doesn't have to be some long practice, doing 2 minutes, 3 minutes here and there throughout the day, allowing your body to kind of get out of rhythm and then get back into it, using it to firm you up. That's going to build a good intuition, which again, a lot of your intuition is your learned experience. So once you get more learned experience under your belt with this breath work, it can really start to help you and really take effect on your physical and mental body. All right, so a breathing technique that I wanted to go over a little bit with for anger or frustration. So boom, you're in the moment and you're firing on all cylinders. You can't shut it down. So when you're in that fight or flight and you can't get that game face off and you need to get a little bit more yin, left nostril breathing a lot of times can help do that. So when you breathe through the left nostril, you're connecting with the right brain, the right hemisphere of the brain, which is the yin side, the female brain. So, it would be quite the opposite if you were too lethargic. You'd just be doing right nostril breathing, connecting with the left. So you just put your hand over the right nostril and just breathe a couple times through the left nostril. Closing your eyes. You can always shift your gaze to your third eye. And again, they're more just some tricks because they, one of the mystics, Osho, talks about, to be angry, you have to be in the male brain, which again, that male brain, that left brain. So if you just do that left nostril breathing, again, left nostril, right brain. Just remember, females, always right. All right, guys, let's continue on. So in the vein of that is alternate nostril breathing, a breath that I recommend doing every day. Again, we talk about this just about every podcast or every video, and it balances the left and right brain, that analytical and intuitive side, that male, female, that yin and yang. So, and again, just starts with index finger, middle finger on your third eye. You're closing your right nostril with your thumb and your left nostril with your ring finger. And then again, we'll start with closing the left, taking an inhale through the right. Closing the right, exhaling through the left. Inhaling left. Closing left, exhaling right. Inhaling right. Closing right, exhaling left. Inhaling left. Closing, exhaling right. And again, you'll continue that on for 6, 7 more rounds. And then again, you can use that breathing technique in the morning. I like to use it if I'm going to sit down and do something creative, or if I'm a little bit out of balance and I know it. If I have my game face on, too much yang, or if I'm a little lethargic and too much yin, then I'll do that breathing technique. It'll just help to intuitively balance, and I don't have to figure it all out. I let the technology figure it out for me. So let's continue on. We're going to talk a little bit more about breathing. And one of the things I want to talk about is breathing is, a little bit of even with stick flexibility and the stick flexibility formula and some of the work that I do. As you can see in this chart, and I'll put it on a screen for you guys, but it starts with the formula. So the formula that I'm talking about is breathing plus then the Z stick, the stick that I'm always having, the Z stick. Then it's whatever pose you're using. So, 5-point star or triangle pose or, the lunge, samurai lunge, whatever one. Then it's the mental fluctuation. So as you're using your breath, you're using the stick to help keep your body in alignment. And then you're in the pose, the actual physical pose. And then it's the mental fluctuation. What are the thoughts coming in? Are you saying, damn, get me out of this damn pose? Or are you, in it? And then when those negative thoughts come in, or those thoughts that aren't powerful come in, are you monitoring them and scrubbing them out and, just releasing them right away? Or are you seeing if you're staying in your breathwork practice? Because all that then will translate into probably the most powerful you in that form of discipline that you're trying to affect, whether it's, even if you're a singer or a music performer, or again, somebody that just uses their brain and not their body that much for their work. These are things that can really, really help to ground you in and center you from the inside out. So that's the stick flexibility formula, which again, it's rooted in with breath work. And then, this card that I'm going to show you right now on screen is really just some normal breathing facts. So I talk about these a lot, but it's the 60,000 thoughts, the 23,000 breaths that we take every day. And that the average person peaks their respiratory function while still in their 20s. And then each decade after that, it starts to degenerate. So it's one of those things we want to continue to build up, especially for the people out there smoking and all. It's really important to do some breath work to get rid of that mucus that you're building up from over-inhaling. You're over-inhaling air, and then you're over-inhaling. And that's also putting your body in fight or flight. So you want to be able to kind of do some of this to reduce the amount of mucus that you're building up from the heat that you're taking in as you're smoking or vaping or whatever it is. So again, these breathing techniques are huge. And remember, your respiratory function is responsible for eliminating up to 70% of your body waste. And that's with defecation, perspiration, urination, and it's also it's getting out of you and through your blood, through every way, your skin, your sweat, like I'm saying. So a lot of this, when people are talking about, God, I'm not able to affect myself, I'm not losing that weight, this is why. You're not breathing the right way. That targeted breathing is going to then allow, if you're breathing into your abdominal and tighten it up a little bit. Remember, if you bring that tightness in there, they talk about it in Zen. Abdominal contents are over 70% water. So if you're bringing that subtle heat into that area, theoretically, that heat can evaporate. So that water weight that we hold, it can evaporate. And don't underestimate what hydration and having the proper amount of water in our system can do, not just for our breathing, but for also, holding on to too much sodium or holding on to too many toxins and all. So what we want to be doing a lot of times is having the adequate amount of fluids. And in my opinion, the American Medical Association recommends 8 times 8 ounces of fluids a day. And that's not beer or coffee or anything, but clear fluids or healthy fluids, not soda. And, 8 times 8 ounces, 64 ounces. That might be good if you're a 64 ounce or 64 pound woman or person or kid. But for a grown adult, remember, if you have dry mouth, your body's already pretty much in a state of dehydration. And it takes a lot of times up to 1 ounce of fluid per body pound in order to get your organs, your bones, everything back to normal hydration levels. So fighters know this. They cut weight and they hydrate back up and they swole back up. But there's a science to that. And a lot of times it kicks in when they are starting to really over ingest the normal amount of water. So again, a good tip you could use if your dry mouth is 1 pound per ounce of fluid, 1 pound of body weight per ounce of fluid, and cut that back if you think that's a little bit too gangster. So you can always cut that back. So for me, if I'm about 170, I might take in about 140, 150 ounces, only when I'm really feeling like I'm neglecting, I'm depleted. So that might be chugging a couple, and I might do a Gatorade, and then the rest just water is coming in, maybe putting some lemon in the water, some honey and lemon. I put dill in there. I use different herbs. And remember, we can survive without food for weeks and water for days, but oxygen, just a few minutes. So it's a precious resource that we need. So don't neglect it and give it some love. So one of the other things about breathing is that breathing helps to enable meditation. So a lot of you have a meditative practice, and I'll go to this card, but some of you don't. And some of you are also psyched out about meditation. But if you just start with your breath, that is one of the fundamental pillars of sitting down and trying to have a meditation practice. Again, it's a practice, something you have to practice a little bit. You're probably not just going to get into it right away and slip into a meditation, but you've probably experienced confusingly similar things that will be like like you're slipped into a meditation already in your life. You're deep in thought, contemplative. You look at your watch, you're like, God, time passed so fast. Where was I? Well, man, you were so deep in thought and focused that a lot of times you're kind of in what's a quasi-meditative state. So that is kind of, that's a flow of concentration, uninterrupted concentration facilitated by relaxation. Then when that flow can be uninterrupted, that's when the state of meditation a lot of times can come in. So, meditation is an act, it's a state of mind, and it's also a practice. And, it's regarded generally as mind-related, but it really starts with a series of gestures from the physical body. And that's the breath work. That's actually, as a yogi, that's why we do the poses. So we can sit for long periods of time with our legs in lotus pose and in good posture and alignment and not in pain and relaxed enough so then you can just use your breath, maybe use some of the other tricks, the third eye gaze, the tongue to the roof of the mouth, the bandhas, yoga bandhas, or your martial art locks, or using your Tanden, Kundalini type of work where it's like that's that Kundalini switch really that they talk about. So when you're doing intense breath work and you're letting go and you're firing your bandhas or your locks, then that energy that normally is going to escape out of your top of your head, your ears, your nose, your eyes, your anus, your genitals, all that energy leaks out of those areas. So when we can kind of lock them up or seal them a little bit, then we can kind of trap that in and allow that energy to start to rise. That whether it's that Kundalini energy or that Chi energy, it's going to rise. So it's subtle, it's a knack, it takes practice. A lot of times when you really try to affect it, man, you cannot tap into it. But it's definitely possible. I've experienced it on my own. And again, I started just like you at home, a mutt. Basically, not with a breathwork practice. Basically, I started a breathwork practice because my body got hijacked. My body started to lose its certain abilities. And, I needed to affect my health in a way that really I couldn't do with the physical stuff that I was doing. It had to be internal. So this breathwork practice for me has kind of been life-saving, and I'm inspired to always just, turn on anybody to the tricks that have helped me and just pass it on. I want to pass it on. I want them to pass it on. And that's how I think this stuff that seems a little bit cryptic or mystical, man, it's not. It's actually very logical in a lot of ways if you really look at the body. And it's something that should be in everybody's toolbox and everybody's medicine cabinet, just like aspirin. So anyway, that's just a little bit about meditation. And remember, these are just in yoga. We have the limbs of yoga, and what we do in yoga is all leading up to meditation. So in yoga, we have the yamas and niyamas, which are basically our moral commandments and how-tos. And then we have the asana, which are the poses, which again are really the poses are to prepare yourself for meditation. So you're not in that position and just, get my legs out of lotus pose. Oh, my butt hurts. I can't stand it here anymore, where your mind's racing. You could then start to channel one of the limbs like pranayama, which is your breath. So again, it's like getting relaxed, boom, put yourself in a good posture and alignment, and then pranayama. So it's asana, pranayama, and then dharana, which is concentration. And then dhyana, which is actually the active meditation. And then there's samadhi, which is bliss. So in those limbs, really, it's dependent on the breath work to actually, and the concentration to get into that meditative practice. And then maybe that state of samadhi can arise. So, and again, remember, doesn't have to just be seated, moving, dance, whirling, the whirling dervish or dancing. There's so many forms of meditation. People that do that bike and do long bike rides. When you're in that flow state, you're in that meditative state. So they're the things that you want to be trying to get to, because then you're actually in the present moment. One of the things about the present moment they talk about is, this is a Zen trick. So in Zen, striking the hammer blow, or when you jump off a cliff, there's no thought, because the tension, the momentary tension in the skeletal muscles and that system gives us temporary relief, and it fires everything, and then we have to be in the present moment. So, obviously you can't just be hitting bang, bang, bang with the sledgehammer all day long, or be jumping off cliffs. But for those who have experienced it, or if you want to grab a sledgehammer and start sledging away or chopping wood, when you're at the moment of strike, there's no mind. So that's that Zen moment. That's that no mind we're talking about. We're not talking about idiocy and no mind. We're talking about no mind in the present moment, not being in the future, not being in the past, really just not being controlled by our thoughts, by our emotions, just in the present moment. So like the Zen master sweeping the floor, you're in the present moment. So I want to end this podcast with a classic Buddhist meditation. It's called a Metta Meditation. And Metta means loving kindness. And that's something, and it allows you to, with this meditation, with trying to conjure up and connect to that loving kindness, a lot of times you can release some of the anger that you have towards other people in different situations. So in this one, it's really just a guided one for you at home. What I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat an intention, and then for you at home, you want to silently repeat and follow that after me. And then what we're going to do first is putting out an intention for yourself. Then it's going to be for somebody that is kind of an acquaintance of your life. Maybe somebody you just see every once in a while at the convenience store or the mailman. And then it's going to be for somebody that you love and really love. And then the next intention is going to be out for somebody that may have wronged you or that you may even hate. And then the last one's going to be for all creatures. So again, just trust, close your eyes. If emotions start coming up, man, just go with it as much as you can and repeat this silently and pick out your own intentions. So first, close your eyes. This intention's first going to go out to yourself, little self-love. So repeat silently to yourself. May I be free of fear. May I have ease of well-being. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I feel love. So again, this next one's going to go out for somebody who's kind of an acquaintance. Maybe you don't know them very much. Could be a neighbor down the street you don't see, just wave to. Postman. Again, see them in your mind's eye. Put this intention out for them. May they be free of fear. May they have ease of well-being. May they be peaceful. May they be happy. And may they feel love. So the next one's going to go out to somebody that you really love. So see their big smile, or feel that chill that you feel when you hug them, or whatever it is you go to. Close your eyes and set this intention out for them. May they be free of fear. May they have ease of well-being. May they be peaceful. May they be happy. May they feel love. All right, so this is where it gets tricky. So hang in the pocket here. So this might be somebody, next one's going to be for somebody that you've got strong dislike for. They may have wronged you. You might even have feelings of hate for them. So you might be like, man, I don't want to do this. Close your eyes. Do your best to put the emotions aside and put this intention out. Do your best. May they be free of fear. May they have ease of well-being. May they be peaceful. May they be happy. May they feel love. All right, I know that might have been a little bit tricky for you, especially if it's somebody coming in where you've got emotions for. So hopefully you're using your breath in that situation. Now finally, out to all creatures. So again, for the creepy crawlers, the sentient beings, put this intention out for them. May they be free of fear. May they have ease of well-being. May they be peaceful. May they be happy. And may they feel love. Take a deep breath in. Do a big bamboo exhale on the back end. And I'll end with a quote. If you know the art of breathing, you have the wisdom, courage, and strength of 10 tigers. So go in peace, guys. I really appreciate you joining me in this breathwork practice, the Breathing Podcast, episode number 2. I know we didn't get to a couple breaths, the 4-7-8, the Ujjayi Breath, Satali Pranayama. Man, we've got so many more techniques to be dropping on you. So for you who like this, smash that subscribe button if you can. Maybe share this channel. I really just started it, so I'll take any love that I can get. And again, mostly it's important just if you think this knowledge or if you think any of the techniques within can be helpful, just share it and pass it on to somebody. And most important between all that is just do it. Get a breathwork practice. Get your breathwork practice going. Again, build your self-awareness. And once again, I appreciate you guys joining me on this podcast. Have a great day. Breathe well. Stay flexible. If you're experiencing breathing problems, or if you want to enhance your breathing for performance, perhaps consider booking a breathwork session either online or in person, where you'll learn some simple techniques to help you either overcome what you're experiencing or reset, recalibrate, and refresh what's already there. Online sessions are available via Skype or Google Hangout. Book your session today at zenhealing.com.